Happy Friday, friends. It is an amazing Friday. I feel so good. I feel so empowered. I really am just basking in all of the revelations, all of the glimpses that God has given me into my future. Y'all know I always say this, I'm not a religious person. But when it comes to spirituality and my relationship with God, like, it is so beautiful because, I don't know, it just gives me hope and like an assurance about what's to come. And then it allows me not to focus on like right now. Even though my present day, like Monday and Tuesday were a bit rough, but I sat in those emotions, and even in that, like, I learned, I grew. It was an opportunity for growth. So I came on this morning just to touch on something that my girl Brittany was saved in the city. Let me tell y'all, Brittany had me this morning at the gas pump rejoicing. Like, people probably was looking at me like, what is wrong with this girl? But I was talking to my friend Destiny right after, and we were talking about how, like, just the things that we have been praying about, just the things that we have been talking about, like when we go to church together on that prayer call, it's like God is like, excuse me, to everybody else. Like, Destiny and Treese, let me holler at y'all real quick. Every single sermon that we listen to, every single prayer call that we're on, every single, I mean, even last night, TikTok videos we were sending back and forth. It was like everything that we had been talking about amongst ourselves, and even like my other friends too. But I'm speaking on Destiny just because we just became friends over the last couple months. We met at a networking event. But when I say God always knows like who you need in the season that he has you in, God is so good. Like, we are so aligned in so many areas, like fearless in terms of like knowing that when God is calling you to move or telling you to move, he's not going to give you all the answers. So think about it this way. Think about if you want to become a pediatrician. I don't know why I said pediatrician, but pediatrician, right? When you go to class, every class that you go to, like, maybe you might have read up on certain aspects of becoming a physician. You might have, even maybe shadowed somebody and saw what they do in their day-to-day in being a physician. But there's always a point where you're ignorant, where you are doing something quote-unquote blindly. You're doing something for the first time, right? So when you are asking God to elevate you and to take you to new levels, there's gonna be a time where you are uncertain, but you have to move in spite of what you feel, in spite of, what you can logically understand in that moment based on what's in front of you. And I have always been that way in terms of, okay, so, sometimes you can use secular stuff. And I'm using secular just because we're talking about God. And I know when I say this, most people are like, girl, like, what? But that's why, if you notice, the part in Dreams and Nightmares when it says, look, but I'm lion-hearted, like, that hit different for me. Because I know oftentimes, even as a female, as a black female, as a single black female, like, there's so many, like, subcategories that I feel like right now in my life I fit into, that would suggest, or that would, like, mentally it should make me feel like, let's be mindful, or like, let's make sure everything's in order before we make a decision. But like, I'm so lion-hearted because I know what God has shown me in terms of how my life is supposed to look. Like, me and God had a relationship. Like, I know when God is saying, okay, you've been praying for abundance. Okay, you've been praying about this business. Okay, you've been praying about owning your time. Move. Make a move. I've told you what you need to do. Make a move. I'm not going to show you what's next. I'm not going to, show you exactly how I'm going to continue to provide for you. I'm not going to show you how said meeting is going to turn out when you meet with so-and-so about, what you need in business. And just move and trust me. And sometimes we get in our heads so much. We pray and we ask God for elevation. We pray and we ask God for certain things. But then we turn to ourselves to like try and figure out the how. God don't move on our, like, God does not operate in the box that we tend to place him in. Like, you have to be fearless. You have to be willing to jump and take a risk. You have to be willing to, and that's why I tell y'all, like, I'm not gonna say I've never, because at one time I was big on like titles, meaning, you know, even before I got in the position that I'm in now, like when I was younger, I wanted a title because I didn't know who I was, and I thought that having a certain title would then like define who I was. And I'm so glad that God like started working on me and changing me and allowing me to be comfortable with who I am before I got the title that I currently have in, you know, my professional world, because I'm not attached to it. So when God tells me, okay, you've had a nice run, now I need you to go do this, or you had a nice run but you done with this job, like it's time to quit, like I can do that because who I am is not attached to what I do. In terms of like the professional world, who I am, like I'm a caring person, I'm a loving person, I'm a person of faith, I'm a person who is spiritual, I'm a person that wants to see others do well, I'm a person that loves to encourage others, I love to, you know, create or help people develop their gifts. I'm a person who is family oriented, I'm a person that is breaking generational curses. Like those are the things. I'm funny, I'm fun, I love to try, like those are the things that like define me. So with or without a certain title, or with or without a certain amount of money, like I'm so dope being who God created me to be, that like I'm able to flourish and thrive in like seasons of like what I would consider a drought, or seasons in which I don't have everything that, you know, I know I'm going to have in the future. And I always say I'm so glad again that the work was done, or is being done on me like now, opposed to being somebody that's given everything and I feel like I can handle it and then I lose it all. And so like really think about the things that you've been praying for, and God rarely, again, you praying for abundance and you picking up all these work hours, that's good in terms of like it being supplemental income, and you can kind of use it to, you know, move it around and do the things that you need to do. But let me say, for me, God is not going to allow me to physically work my way like to abundance, because God has put so many things inside of me. God has like put me in spaces with people that have things they want to do, and then they meet me, they're like, yo, you who I've been waiting on, you who I've been looking for to help me bring it to, like God is going to use me and my gifts to give me everything that I need in this life. Like I told you, I met with somebody, a spiritual advisor, and he told me, he was like, your mouth is going to, like the things that you say and like what you give to situations, that is going to be how you live like this grand and abundant life. And it's crazy because, not to talk too much about me and Sade new podcast episode that's coming out, but I said that actually on the second episode we recorded, oftentimes the things that we are condemned for when we were younger, or the things that like maybe happened to us when we were younger and we struggle with those things as an adult, those are the areas in which our gifts lie in. Because think about it, as a child, you are at your most vulnerable state. You are so impressionable. You are trusting the adults and the people that are around you to grow certain things in you and to mature you and to take care of you. Like you are at their mercy. And so, you know, when people say certain things and speak certain things over your life, you believe. Like, why would anybody that loves and cares about me, why would they tell me anything that's wrong? In your, you know, in your child mind, that's how we understand that dynamic. And so one thing that my mom used to say, and I know she didn't mean any harm by it, but it's something that I took on as my identity. She was like, your mouth is gonna get you in a world of trouble. Because I was the child that was asking why. I wasn't being a smart ass. I just have always been like, you can't just tell me to do something and me not ask, like, what is the purpose? Like, help me understand why you're asking me to do this thing, and then I might be willing to do it. But you know, back then, before this new wave of you know, we have started to to understand the importance of allowing a child to ask why, so that you can create a critical thinker and not just somebody that respects authority across the board. My mama and daddy was like, who the hell are you talking to? Like, why are you asking me why I'm asking you to do something? And I would give my opinion on stuff that, you know, when my opinion wasn't asked for as a child, I would say certain things. But that kind of created a, because it was like something that I would get shunned for and I would get in trouble for a lot, I started to learn, like, not to say what I was feeling, not to express myself. And it was something that I really struggled with, like, in my teenage years. It got to the point where I would feel something, but I didn't know how to express it, because that was not something that was, that wasn't something that was, what am I trying to say? Like, that wasn't something that was, like, encouraged, so to say, in, like, when I grew up. So then, like, I had to literally go to therapy to learn how to put words to my feelings, only to find out, like, as I'm getting older, like, my mouth and my words and my thoughts and how I process information, that is literally my gift, a part of my gift. So I'm just fired up this morning, y'all. And I'm posting this video too, aside from the fact that my brand manager's like, yo, content, we gotta post content, we gotta be consistent in the content, but just to show y'all, like, it is okay to have days like I had Monday and Tuesday where I'm boo-hooing, crying. And the crazy thing is, I noticed too, like, that had to happen because, like, I had started to almost thrive in this place of, oh, I don't cry as much as I used to. And, like, I started to feel certain things, and, like, I wanted to cry, and I was like, nah, I don't cry. We're not crying. Toughen up. We got this. And in certain situations, you cannot yield to your emotions. However, I'm praying for a man that is vulnerable and emotionally mature. And what we always say as women, men, it's okay to cry. So how, as a whole woman, am I trying to train myself not to cry in moments where I feel like I need to cry? That's hypocritical as hell. So Monday and Tuesday, I had to be taken out of, like, this false sense of self that I was trying to thrive in, and I had to, like, yield to my emotions. I had to be sat down, I had to cry, I had to feel, and I had to learn the lessons that came along with that. And the rest of my week been gravy. Like, I've made decisions this week. I feel good as hell about the decisions that I'm making. And that's another thing. You don't have to consult with nobody about the decisions that you got to make for your life, because a lot of times, and people mean well, but a lot of times people place their fears and their limitations on you. Like I told y'all, I know how God works with me. When he tell me to move, he do just like this. I'm ready when you ready. When you ready to trust me and you ready to move, you got this grand idea about, you know, the life that you know you're supposed to live, because I put that in you. But it's going to cause you to be in areas and seasons of your life where you're not comfortable because it's new. Newness always comes with a certain level of uncomfortability. No matter how much you feel like you've prepared or trained yourself, it's uncomfortable. It's new. It's supposed to be, because that's how we yield to being willing to learn, being impressionable, being, you know, soaking up information. Like, we have to be in a place where, like, we are in the infant state, meaning we don't know everything that we knew when we were at a lower level. And I think too, you know, when people say, I don't know if this is a biblical principle or if this is just something people say, and they say, like, you are a baby twice in life. So I feel like that, to me, is reflective of how, you know, you can be in a certain field. Like, we're talking about the mental health field, substance use. I feel like I'm well versed, I'm very knowledgeable in that field. It's something that just comes natural to me, because I can also, you know, self-reflect a lot of times and understand, you know, what people are feeling because of the things that I've experienced. But if you put me in accounting, I'm a baby quick, baby, infant, day one out the womb. That's not my strength. That is just not my strength, and that's okay. That doesn't mean I can't learn to be, you know, as well versed or as knowledgeable as, like, my friend Vonda. She's in accounting. I call her, I remember it was like November, December last year, and I was making a business purchase, and I was like, hey, like, how should I do this in a way that makes sense? Boom. And that's also the importance of community. Why not have friends that have different strengths. I don't want to sit at a table where all of us got the same strengths, because how do we grow? How do we expand? How do we come together and expand upon like what we sat down having? Meaning, if we sat down at the table with a certain knowledge and understanding, by the time we all talk and exchange ideas, we should all leave better, knowing more, having more. Don't put me at the table with everybody that's like me. I want to be stretched. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to expand my mind. I want to be open to new ways of thinking about stuff. You have to be. You have to be, or you're going to stay the same. So yeah, just, y'all, I am fired up. You hear me? I'm so fired up. Like, I trust God so much in this season of my life. I'm learning, like, sometimes God has to save you from yourself. Meaning, sometimes you have to be separated from people because you're not aware yet of the areas in which you still need to be worked on. And you could damage a person you could damage the other person trying to enforce your will in their life, or, you know, thinking that you are more healed or more evolved in the area than you really are. I'm telling y'all, when y'all start taking that time with God, and whatever that looks like for you. So when I said taking time for God, sometimes that's praying. Me and Des just got off the phone after the Saved in the City call, and we prayed. And y'all know I don't be talking on the phone. Like, my drive in the car is usually for music, is usually for podcasts, YouTube videos, whatever. But this week in our relationship has called for a lot of like self-reflection and prayer, and like just exchanging in terms of ideas and like what God is showing us. Like, it is the season for that. It is the season for me to come out of my normal routine or what I'm comfortable in, and that's like being to myself in my car rides. Like, God is now using my car rides as a way to expand my mind in terms of spirituality. I lost my point. What was I saying? Doggone, what was I saying? Community, expanding, talking about is praying. Oh, different ways to spend time with God. Sometimes that's journaling for me. Sometimes that is watching a sermon. Darius Daniels, which Tiff, thank you so much for like always reminding me to watch his sermons, and E.T. and that's Eric Thomas, and I mean Know For Sure podcast, and Sarah Jakes Roberts, like all of these different tools to like expanding my knowledge and my understanding of like life and God and spirituality and finances and all of those things. Like, I am in a constant state of like growth and expansion, and that's why like I can't be everywhere. I can't make sure I show up to every event just for the sake of like people being able to say I was there. I can't do that. Like, that is not the call, and that is a part of the work that God has did on me too, because I used to have FOMO, fear of missing out. I used to, like, if somebody was doing something, oh, Treese had to be there, because I didn't want to sit around while everybody else talked about how fun it was and da-da-da, and I missed out. That ain't the season of my life no more. That is not the season of my life. And I also know that like who I am and who I am becoming, I just can't be everywhere. I'm so selective about where I go, where I, you know, the types of people that I'm around, and that is a judgment. That is judgment in terms of character, in terms of what I can allow myself be around. Because I'm also very vulnerable in certain areas right now, and I had to acknowledge that. That's something else that, you know, I had the realization of not too long ago. Like, I was still in contact with certain people. Like, maybe we had a season where we were dealing with each other, and, you know, now every once in a while I get a text from them just checking in. That is a spirit. Meaning, they're not bad people, but that is a spirit of like old stuff, like things that I have grown from and moved past. Like, why do we still have to be in contact? I appreciate all of the lessons that I learned from that person and how they showed me myself and how they've been supportive throughout the years. But like, I literally had to go through my phone this week and block people. No more. Like, I was literally about to change my phone number, and I was in Wegmans today getting my flowers, because let me tell you, I didn't get my flowers earlier this week because y'all know I didn't work Monday and Tuesday. And I was riding to work, and I was like, dang, like I really like feel like I missed out this week in terms of like not doing my ritual of going to get my flowers. But it's Friday, and they're gonna be sitting in the office over the weekend, I was like, Treese, we talking about a $6 bouquet of flowers. $6 that would make you feel good today? You're tripping. Go get those flowers. And I was on the phone with Destiny when I was in the store getting the flowers, and we were talking about, like, and it's a person that I have blocked that I know I need to go and unblock, because as I'm praying about certain stuff, like, I'm not allowing God to move on his time in certain areas. And even as I'm saying it, I'm like, that's so uncomfortable for me. Like, that is an uncomfortable truth that I have been trying to, like, manipulate and play God in certain areas. Meaning, if somebody want me bad enough, whether it be a female friend, a male potential partner, whatever, like, they can figure out how to get to me. Like, who am I? I mean, I know who I am, and I'm a big deal. But in terms of, like, trying to make things more complicated than they have to be. And so I know I said a lot. I ain't even come on to say that much, but just check yourself. Remain sensitive in the spirit. Remain sensitive to God's voice, whatever that sounds like to you. Again, not being religious, but just if spirituality is your thing, if you have a relationship with God, like, you got to remain sensitive to his commands and his orders. It's not gonna always make you feel good, and that's another thing that we have to get away from. We have to get away from thinking, oh, if it doesn't feel good, that means it's not what God is asking me to do, or it's not for me. Sometimes God gonna ask you to do some stuff that's very uncomfortable, like I was just saying, because it's new, because you don't have control over it, because you can't say, all right, we're gonna do this and then this is gonna happen. Sometimes you have to willingly walk into the wilderness, but walking through that wilderness is how you're gonna get to what's meant for you. If you want to continue to have what you currently have, or what your family always had, like, just enough, and you look to the left and your right, and you got just as much as your parents got, or just as much as your friend got, and that's where you feel comfortable, cool, continue to do what you do. But if you really want to live in the full abundance that is meant for you, and that you deserve, like, if you really know you deserve that, it's gonna be sometimes you have to be willing to walk into the wilderness. And sometimes your obedience is what will help encourage and bring others along. Bishop was talking about that Wednesday. Like, stop being cheap in terms of your calling. If God has asked you or called you to put on an event, you better put on a darn good event, because it's a representation of God and the gifts and the vision that he has put inside of you. Stop trying to cut corners so much. If God has, like, given you the vision, he's gonna fund it. He has to. That is a principle of his. Like, he has to take care of his kids. He has to take care of his vision that he bursts through us. He has to, or he wouldn't be God. So that's just my tidbit. I'm about to get up off here. I'm gonna go get this work day out the way. I hope that everybody has an amazing day, and comment below. Let's see, how can we engage today? Let's talk a little bit about let's see, drop a word below that outlines, like, the area in which God has been working with you or on you the most in. So my word would be I would say faith. Like, my faith is really strong, but it's always new levels to that. My faith, my finances, and relationship. My, like, relationships, meaning friendships, professional relationships, business relationships, all of that. So let me know what God is working on you with, and I will talk to you all soon.